Hi, I've shot that high 10 times now, and I really don't know how to start this vlog, so let's just get into it, I guess. The vlog for today is a little get to know me vlog. Since there are about 300 plus something of you here, I thought I should introduce myself and share a little bit of my story. 300 is not a lot, but then if you fill 300 people in my house, that's a lot of people. I've prepared a few questions here, 20 questions to be exact, so I could share a little bit about me, my principles, what I believe in, where I come from, all that jazz. So yeah, let's get started. So I was born and raised in the Philippines, particularly in a small town up north called Apari, and that is by the seaside, which I think is amazing that I grew up near the sea. Now I live in Canada in a small town called Cochrane in Alberta, but this isn't the first place where we lived in Canada. I used to live in Banff, and a lot of you will probably know where Banff is because it's a famous tourist town here in Canada. I lived there for about 4 years, and then we moved to Cochrane when we got this house. Well, my mom decided to work here when I was in grade 6, and when she got her permanent residency a few years later, that automatically made me a permanent resident too, because I was still her dependent back then. So that was mainly the reason why I'm here in Canada. It's because of my mom. What do you love most about living here in Canada? I think it would have to be the quality of life. As someone who came from a third world country, you can really tell the difference. Like in terms of healthcare, for example, we have universal healthcare here, whereas it's not the same in the Philippines. You know, out here you can get your checkups for free, surgical procedures, you can give birth, whatsoever for free. I also think in terms of employment opportunities, there's just much more work opportunities here regardless of your educational background. They don't really look if you have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, unless of course you're applying for something that requires an educational background, like being a doctor or being an engineer or an architect and all that stuff. But for the most part, if you're just looking for an entry-level job, it is easier to get a job here even if you haven't finished university. If you're only a high school graduate, you can easily find a job. That's what I did. Like, I finished high school and I was still able to get hired at a bank. I was able to work at a trust company, so I was able to penetrate the financial industry even if I don't have a degree specifically for that industry. I think one thing that most people don't know about me is that I used to sing a lot. Back in the Philippines, I used to always sing. Like, I grew up having singing lessons. I joined lots of singing competitions when I was in grade school up until I was in high school. I sing a lot in school. So that's basically it. I used to sing a lot. And at one point in my life, I really thought I would become a singer. Like, I really thought that would be my path. I used to dream of becoming a Broadway singer, so I really thought singing was the path for me because that's what I've been exposed to ever since. But when I moved here to Canada, I stopped singing. I never see any opportunities to do that anymore. Although in my first year, I remember my Filipino friends and I built a small band, and we'd used to sing in weddings and parties and some events, and that was like a short stint in my first year here in Canada, but we ended up disbanding a year later, and then after that I never really sang anymore. So I think not a lot of people here in Canada know that I used to sing. So my first job was at McDonald's in Banff. My mom asked me to apply at McDonald's because a lot of the Filipino kids at the time were working at McDonald's, and so she thought it would be a great idea for me to be around them just so I could adjust more easily, so I could build friendships easily, and I think that was a really good decision for me to apply there as my first job. Although I gotta say, it's not an easy job because it's really physically tiring. You're always on the go. You're standing 8 hours a day moving. That job opened my eyes to a lot of things because first of all, I was exposed to people all over the world, not just Canada, because again, I worked in Banff. It's a tourist town, so a lot of people all over the world were coming there. So I became friends with a lot of different nationalities, and I think that was just a really great experience for me to be exposed to that kind of diversity. I was able to adjust living here in Canada much more easily because I think everybody was just going through the same thing as me. You know, coming from a different country, living and working in Canada, it's a different experience seeing everybody go through the same phase as you. You don't feel as alone, you don't feel as isolated because everybody understands your struggle and what you're going through, and that kind of made the transition easier for me. And then it really taught me the value of money. Because like what I said, McDonald's is a really hard job. It taught me that money is not something that's easily earned. You really have to work for it. And I think McDonald's was the perfect example of how hard it is to earn money and to make money. I think you can tell by now based on my vlogs that I love traveling. I think that's where most of my hard-earned money goes to. That's the one thing that I really splurge on. If I'm not working, I'm traveling. I'm somewhere else around the world, and I think that's a good interest to have. Traveling really opens up your eyes to a lot of the things. You get to meet a lot of people, you get to learn about different cultures and traditions, and I think it's a privilege to be able to say, you know, towards the end of your life or whatever, that you've seen the world and you've experienced the world. Except for times when I'm traveling, I'm really a homebody. So whenever I'm not working, I love spending time at home, just watching YouTube, Netflix, just watching television the whole day. That's really all there is to it. That's what I do whenever I'm off. I'm a couch potato. My line of work is graphic design, so I sell and design templates for business owners. So that's what I do for a living. And I think not a lot of people know that about me. Even if my friends here in Canada now don't know that that's what I do now for a living, because they're, you know, so used to seeing me at the bank or so used to me being in the financial industry. But I've since quit. I've quit in 2023. I'm no longer working at my corporate job. So I am now full-time in my business and I am self-employed. There are a lot of things in my bucket list, but mostly in connection to traveling. There are a lot of countries that I haven't been to yet that I would love to visit. I still haven't been to 3 continents. So I haven't been to Africa, I've never been to Australia, and I've never been to Antarctica. And I would love to see those continents. I would love to visit all 7 of them. I think it would be London. London was my answer many years ago, and it still is my answer to this day. I've been to London a couple of years ago and I've seen it, so I can definitely say I'd love to stay there, although it's much more expensive than Canada, because when I went there, holy crap, it was hella expensive. But I think it's a place where I can easily adjust to, just because first, they speak English, so there won't be any learning curves in terms of language. And second, it's beautiful. I've seen the English countryside and it is beautiful. And it's easy to go around Europe when you're based in London. Like, you can easily take a train to Paris anytime you want. I think it's just a really good place to be based in if you love traveling. I think that's mostly the reason why I love to live in London, because flights are just really expensive if you're coming from Canada. This was a statement from Steve Jobs. He says, "Before you make any decision in life, remember that you'll be dead soon." And that was very interesting to me. When you think about the fact that you won't be around forever, it kind of gets rid of all your fears and worries that's holding you back. I saw this post on Facebook that says, when you die and people bury you, they cry for a few days, for a few weeks, probably a few months if you're lucky. But then after that, life goes on. Everybody moves on with their lives. Sorry, I had to cut that short. I have a little visitor here with me. So yeah, after you get buried, life goes on without you. The reality is people won't be dwelling on your past mistakes, what you achieved, what you didn't achieve, your failures, your achievements. People won't be dwelling on that many, many years after you die. So I think the point is the things that we often worry about, like judgments coming from other people, are fleeting concerns. In reality, people move on with their lives, and the things you're worrying about now likely will be forgotten over time. So why should you let the fear of judgment, criticism, or failure affect the decisions that you truly want to do? If people aren't going to remember or care about the failures you made decades from now, then why should their opinions hold so much weight in how you live your life? Always remember, all of us are going to die eventually, and people are going to move on with their lives without us, and all the things that we did and didn't do won't matter in the grand scheme of things. And people's opinions or judgments or whatsoever shouldn't stop you from doing what you truly want to do. Definitely Zoe, this little doggy. I actually used to be scared of dogs. When I lived in the Philippines, I was so scared of dogs. And for quite some time, I was against the thought of getting a dog or getting a pet because it's expensive. It's like having your own child. But then when we got Zoe, they really are a stress reliever. You know, every time you go to work, every time you come home, she's just there waiting for you. She's always happy to see you, and she's just so innocent. She's just there to love you, to be with you. It's a different feeling. If you're a fur parent, you will know the joy that comes from having a pet. Yes, they're expensive, undeniably expensive, especially if you get like a sensitive dog or a sickly dog. But other than that, I think the pros outweigh the cons when you have a pet. Again, the joy that they bring is priceless. So she is the one thing that always makes me smile at home. Moving on. Definitely sinigang. It's a Filipino dish. Mitch and I used to ask each other, if you could only eat one meal your whole life, what would it be? And my answer would always be sinigang. Sinigang is like a sour pork stew. I don't know how to explain it. You can just Google it if you don't know what sinigang is. But for Filipinos, you would know sinigang supremacy. So yeah, definitely sinigang all day, every day. Friends, definitely Friends. I still watch it to this day. Once I finish the last season, I go back to season 1 and then redo it all over again. I know, there's just something so comforting about Friends. I find it really funny and it never gets old. Like, even if I already know the jokes because I've watched it so many times, it still makes me laugh. It's really sad when Matthew Perry died because, you know, that just means there would never be a Friends reunion anymore. But yeah, such is life, I guess. At least there is the series that's there to comfort me forever and ever until I die. If we're talking about people, obviously my family, but if we're talking about a specific thing in my life, it would definitely be my phone. It's just my lifeline. Like, that's how I communicate to friends and family. That's how I get my entertainment. This is where I run my business when I'm on the go. And this is where my online banking is. This is where I do my taxes. It's pretty much what runs my life now. And I think that's the reality for most people. Their gadgets run their lives, and without gadgets, it would just be so inconvenient to do things, because that's where we are now. We are in the digital world, and we just have to accept that fact that gadgets are a necessity. So for me, I cannot live without my phone, and I'm sure you can relate. If I could have a dinner with anyone, it would be a president of the United States of America. And hear me out. It doesn't matter who it is, dead or alive or whoever, but I truly believe that presidents know some of the greatest secrets in the world. I think once you become a president of one of the most powerful countries in the world, they tell you a lot about this world that a normal people like me would never know in their life. Like maybe aliens, or, you know, like nuclear weapons, secret societies, maybe even the afterlife, or like a cure to cancer or death or something like that. But I just know that they hold some of the most valuable information that is kept secret to the public. So it would be nice to have a dinner with one of the presidents, because I really think they would spill a lot of tea about this world that we live in. So yeah. I think it would be to play a musical instrument. Like what I said earlier, I love to sing. Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to learn an instrument, but if given a chance, I'd love to learn piano or guitar. Also, a new language. Always wanted to learn a new language. I'm just so amazed by people who can speak multiple languages. And living in Canada, one of the languages here is French, and I think it would be a feat if I learned how to speak French fluently. I think I would just be so amazed at myself if I could speak French. Whenever I feel down or unproductive, I take it as a sign that my body is telling me to slow the fuck down. It's like a signal that's telling me I've been pushing myself too hard. So if I really feel down or if I really feel like not working, I don't push myself. I take a break. I am incredibly privileged to be able to take a break whenever I want, because again, I'm self-employed. I work at my own pace, and this is exactly why I chose to be self-employed. I chose to run my own business, and I chose to have this lifestyle because it just gives me the freedom to take a break, to slow down whenever I want to. You know what? Playing outside with friends, because that's not a thing anymore. You know, a lot of the kids, my brother included, doesn't play outside anymore. Like everybody is just playing with their iPads or their phones, and playing outside with strangers, with people you don't know, you know, isn't a thing anymore, unfortunately. And that is just sad, because I grew up at a time where the norm was to go outside in the afternoon and play with your friends. Like there's no phone to play with, there's no iPad to play with. There was television during my childhood, but then again, that's still not the norm. You usually just watch television for a few hours in a day, and then your friends will ask you to come out and play, whether that's to ride a bike, play with your toys, like actual toys. Those were some great times during my childhood, and I would never forget them. And I feel extremely lucky that I was born and grew up in a time where that was still a thing, like that was still the norm. Growing up in Apari, in a town near the sea, my auntie and uncle would bring me to the sea, and we would swim, we would play in the sand. My neighbors, who are also family, we would go out and play outside by the streets. We would run, we would just spend the whole day outside by the park. We would slide, we would swing, all that stuff. So nostalgic. And I just don't see that anymore in this day and age. And it's just really sad that my future kids or grandchildren would never experience that type of life. The power of resilience. Last year was the year that I went full-time in my business and quit my corporate job. I'm not gonna lie, it was a tough year. There were so many adjustments. I've gone through a lot of challenges last year, especially during the beginning of me quitting. Those first few months were a battle. Almost thought at one point I was just gonna go back to my old work. Like, this isn't how I imagined things. Oh, sorry. I think that's my Amazon delivery. There's a guy with a big box in my door. We'll get that later. Anyway, so it just taught me that there will always be challenges in life that you'll never see coming. And no matter how much you plan, no matter how much you prepare for, you know, challenges and battles in your life, sometimes you'll really just be caught off guard. And that's where resiliency comes in, because I believe if you truly want something, if you really want something so bad, you're not going to let anything get in the way. And that's what I've discovered about myself last year, that, you know, graphic design and being in the creative space really is my calling, because regardless of the challenges and battles that I went through last year, I still pushed through. I stood up, kept going, and continued. I think that was a testament to how badly I want this lifestyle, to how badly I want to make all of this work. And I've read this on Pinterest where it says you were made to handle any and all challenges that comes with your calling. And that really resonates with me. I truly believe, as a person of faith, I truly believe that God equips you with everything you need to overcome challenges when it comes to pursuing your calling. I've seen how God worked in my life during those terrible months during the first year of 2023, and I believe that He equips you with everything you need. He has built you into the person you are today to be able to overcome the challenges that you're going through or that you're about to go through in your life. So if it's your calling that you're pursuing, or if it's something that are written in His books and that you're supposed to follow, know that you have everything you need to overcome it, because it is your calling and He has prepared you for that since the moment you were born. So again, as a person of faith, prayers, that's one thing that I do every single night before I go to bed. I really spend time to talk to God, to open up to Him, to tell Him how my day went. I think that's one thing that has really changed the trajectory of my life. I studied in a Catholic school, I always went to church. That has been a normal thing for me. That was a part of the curriculum or something, but I never truly had a relationship with the Lord. I think being baptized and, being introduced to Catholic world was never really my choice. It was just something that has been instilled in me because my mom grew up being a Catholic. And so I feel like I never really built a genuine relationship with God where I took the initiative to get to know Him. I feel like all those past years growing up, I just never had a choice. That's why I did it. But now I feel like it is my choice to have this religion, to believe in Him, to have a relationship with Him. I don't know, I feel like my life just instantly became better when I built that relationship with Him. Everything turned 180 for me. All that to say, a daily practice or habit that has changed my life is prayer. And not all of you will probably agree with me, and I respect that. Not everybody has the same religious beliefs, and I don't want to impose on anyone, but personally, that's just what has changed my life. So yeah, those are the 20 questions, and I could not believe that I spoke for that long. I was a little bit scared to do this vlog because I don't think I could open up this much, or I could speak my heart out the way I want to, but I think I'm really happy with my answers. I was contemplating if I should do this vlog, and then I remember going back to the best advice that I received from Steve Jobs, that I'll be dead soon and this video would probably be out of circulation by the time I die or I'm in my grave, and hopefully that's many years, many decades from now, not now. So it shouldn't hurt to put this video out. I hope you got to know me a little bit better through all my rambling, and I would love to build a relationship with people who truly watch me. Most of the people here are probably my friends and family, so if you're watching, hi. But if you're a stranger who just found me on the internet and started to follow me because of my vlogs, or you just enjoy all of the stuff that I post online, then thank you. Thank you so much for being here. That truly means the world to me. I have this realization that as much as I'd love to share videos of me traveling all the time, that's not really the reality, and can't be traveling all the time because I don't have that much money to burn. And so some of my vlogs will just be regular sit-down vlogs, and vlogs of me at home, and vlogs of me doing completely useless stuff, and that is what this channel will be about, mainly just me sharing my life experiences. Again, if you're still here and you finished the whole video, oh my god, how? Thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.